Okay, it's been a long day, and we're down to the final two, -1. Mr. deLaroche, if you could just give an opening statement about your candidacy for Volusia Clerk of the Circuit Court.
Sure. My name is Stephen deLaroche. I'm a former county judge, former chief administrative county judge. I was chair of the county canvassing board for the year 2004 and supervised the 2004 presidential elections for Volusia County. I was chair of the probation review committee. I was the career criminal prosecutor for the 7th Judicial Circuit. I am a graduate of Stetson University College of Law. I have a bachelor's degree in economics from the State University of New York, and I have 23 years of courtroom experience. I have a cooperative management style, and I have the vision and leadership that this office needs and deserves.
Very well done. Your opponent, Diane Matousek, she started off at the clerk of the court at a young age, teenager, I believe, got out of high school, and worked her way up over the years. And I believe it was 1992 that she won office.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, a long time. Why are you running against an entrenched incumbent?
I'm running against an entrenched incumbent because she has been there too long and is no longer an agent for change. The office is in real trouble, both financial and technological.
Can you give some examples? That's a pretty strong statement.
Certainly. From a financial point of view, the office has been in trouble for a number of years. The clerk does a very poor job of collecting criminal fines and costs, both at the felony and misdemeanor level. Consequently, she has run a deficit each of the last 4 years, and the state has had to come in and rescue the office. Last year, she ran a deficit in projected collections of $431,000. Now, we're always hearing that the budget is being cut, which is true, and she is down several positions, but if she just did her job and collected the money at the state average, she would not be losing the position she's supposed to be.
What is the state average?
The state average for collections of criminal fines and costs is over 77%.
Wow.
And she does 10%, 9 to 10% in felony and 52% in misdemeanor.
I don't know much about the inner workings of the clerk of the court. When I was a reporter, I would go in and look at the filings every day, but is it come a long way in automation, or is it still stuck in kind of like, you know?
Well, it's still stuck in the paper-based management system. In 1996, the Florida Supreme Court decided that the court system should move toward an electronic computer digital management system and notified all of the clerks of court at that period of time. And in fact, the Florida legislature passed Florida Law 28.22, mandating that all clerks of court move toward the electronic era. So it's been 6 years since she's known this was going to happen. As late as March of this year, she was still not prepared to meet the July 1st deadline for complying with the e-filing portal for the entire state of Florida.
Now, have you had previous forums, not necessarily a media debate, but have you had any forums in the past where you both have been there, or she hasn't been there?
I have not been able to get her to come to any forum where the two of us are going to be speaking together in a debate style. She refused the League of Women Voters, she refused Mark Bernier, and as you can see, she's not here today. One of the problems with the clerk's office is the clerk is never there.
Where is she?
Well, we're told when we call that she works from home most days. And I have every budget, every budget analysis, every compliance piece that the clerk's office has filed for the last 4 years. And what is extremely telling is the clerk's office, or the clerk herself, has never signed one of those documents. Laura Roth, the deputy clerk, is always the signature to the documents. Now, these are the documents that have to go to the court administration's office, the CFO's office, and they're extremely important. And she is never the person that signs them. It's always the deputy clerk. I think it's very telling that she's not in the office.
She's been there for quite a while. I guess there might be some health issues or something like that. Is that plausible in your mind?
Well, we've heard that she has health issues and that she takes a large amount of prescription medication because of them. But this clerk's office and any government office is not a place where you camp out and collect a check. The clerk's office is a very dynamic environment, particularly in this time when they have to make a transition from paper to digital. We don't need someone that works from home.
Well, she's in the drop program, correct?
Yes, she is.
So how long realistically would she, what is your 4-year term?
It's a 4-year term. She signed documents that said she was going to retire on February 28, 2014, which is 12 months into the term. She presently collects a drop benefit of $9,100 per month in addition to her salary. If she were to retire in February of 2014, she will get a check from the state of Florida of $601,000.
But that's also in addition to an actual retirement.
That's in addition to her actual retirement. Now, the key to the $601,000 that's accumulating is that comes out of the clerk's budget. The very budget that she's complaining isn't large enough, and we as citizens of Volusia County do not get a single service for that amount.
But let me stop you there. Is it unfair, though, to be critical of something she's earned if the drop program is legitimate? There are a lot of other people in the drop program.
There are a lot of other people in the drop program, and the drop program was designed to replace older workers with younger workers and give the older workers an amount of money so that they could carry through with their health insurance until they were eligible to Medicaid and Medicare. What was envisioned is people would walk with checks of $40,000 to $50,000 to bridge that gap. What was never envisioned were the lottery jackpot checks of over $600,000. Just because you can take the people's money does not mean that you should.
Well, let me ask you this, and there's no secret that when you have an agency like that where there's a lot of rank and file, a lot of clerical duties, morale is not exactly wonderful and money's tight. So what do you do, what do you offer in terms of being, a leader, a cheerleader, to let people know, hey, you're valued, you're appreciated, even though I can't give you much?
Well, I'm not a cheerleader. One of the first things that I plan on doing is, I've never worked in the clerk's office. I am going to work side by side with every single position in the clerk's office. I'm going to visit all 4 of the courthouses. I'm going to work the child support collection window. I'm going to sit in court with the judges. I'm going to help put together the files and sit with the IT people and the budget people and HR. I want to make sure that I understand completely every single position. When I was a county judge, what I did once a quarter is I called all of the people in my courtroom together. I took off the robe, we put the tables together, I bought lunch for everybody. And I would sit and I would say, okay, what can we do better? And I don't want to be called Your Honor. Just because I wear the robe doesn't mean I'm the smartest person in the room. And I don't want to hear, well, this may be nothing. And we ran the most efficient courtroom in Volusia County. And the reason is because I got input from the people who actually did the job. Presently, the clerk is completely isolated. She sits behind a locked door, doesn't even have a secretary. We know for a fact she doesn't even answer her own email. She designates that to the IT people. The people who are the rank and file never see her. You can't supervise people, and you can't have your employees feel that you have their best interests at heart if you don't see them.
Well, let me ask you this, and it's unfortunate you used the word heart, but you had some health issues of your own, which, you ended up stepping off the bench. A couple of issues with heart, I don't know,
True.
heart attacks, but I mean, can you appreciate and understand the stress that comes with a job like that, with low, tight budgets and the fact that she's winding down? By meaning a cheerleader, I meant that what can you do to bring the enthusiasm and say, hey, we've got things we've got to move and you're appreciated?
Okay. Some of the things that I can do is, as I mentioned, the clerk receives $9,100 per month. By replacing the clerk, I'm freeing up $108,000 to $110,000 worth of budget money.
And that's money that will go back into that overall
That's
budget.
money that can go back into giving the employees performance bonuses and a small increase in the hourly rate. I have here every single employee's salary, what they make
How
per
many
hour.
employees are there?
There's about 270
That's a lot. How many locations?
in 4. And
In Volusia.
in Volusia. And there are anomalies in these salaries. You have people that have been there almost the same amount of time, working the same job, and somebody may make as much as $8 more an hour in those positions. Strangely enough, those people that are making a lot of money are the ones that I'm seeing out on the campaign trail for her. One of the things I want to stress is that at the clerk's office, I'm everyone's friend and I'm no one's friend. There will not be people that have access to me and other people that won't. Every employee will be able to come to me, and I'm going to go and look and see every employee. We're going to run this as a cooperative venture where everybody's pulling and working the same direction. Right now, there's a morale problem, and the reason for that is that there seems to be a hierarchy that the average person working there can't penetrate and can't ever hope to please.
Right.
When I was a judge, I would get new clerks from time to time, and they would come in and they'd be really enthusiastic. They were so happy to be there. Give them 6 months and they were looking for another job because of the environment. Because the older clerks have a power monopoly, and it is in their best interest to prevent anyone from coming up with new ideas, new ways of doing, and essentially shining at their job.
Now, if you make it, this is a partisan race, to be
This
clear
is
to
a partisan
everybody.
race.
You're both Republicans. Assuming one of you comes out of the race, the primary on August 14th, you would then face a minority candidate, minority party candidate, independent candidate, who I believe is a clerk.
Well, the person who is running with no party affiliation was a member of the clerk's office for a period of 4 years. Yes. Yes.
And have you had any opportunity to talk with her about frustrations of morale or pay or things like that?
Well, both of us have campaigned on the fact that we're going to improve morale. Her primary platform, and I don't mean to do her platform, is that the clerk is top-heavy and she's going to weed out a lot of the higher salaries. I too would like to weed out a lot of the higher salaries, but before I go ahead and do that, I want to make sure that I understand what each person's function is, how vital they are to the organization, and if they're being paid appropriately. For instance, the highest paid employee at the clerk's office, who is not the clerk herself, is the director of the IT department. He receives $107,000, which is an awful lot of
And
money.
what is her annual salary?
$140,000, which is a lot of money, but because of the digital transformation and the amount of heavy lifting this gentleman has to do, he may be worth even more than that. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I fairly evaluate each person.